Welcome to another episode of Inside Mama's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a super easy, super delicious crock-pot lasagna. This is one of our go-tos. We can just throw it in the crock pot for a couple hours and forget about it. It is a lifesaver with the 1-year-old and the 7-year-old home for the summer. Well, for the last couple months I should say, but especially right now in the summer, it is such a lifesaver if you have a busy schedule or you really just don't feel like firing up your stove or firing up the grill because it is way too hot. A couple minutes of prep out of your day and you just throw this right in the crock pot, and in a couple hours your dinner is done. All that work done in 10 minutes, and the crock pot will cook the rest for you guys. This is super delicious. So the first thing we were going to need is some lasagna noodles. We just get the Great Value brand. It's only about $1.16 where we are. We got these last time we did Walmart grocery pickup. It's just the regular ones. You don't need to have the oven ready. If you do have the oven ready, you can go ahead and use them, but I found that the lasagna comes out more clunky with the oven ready. So just the lasagna. You do not need to pre-cook these. You don't need to soften them up on the stove. You just throw them right in like this, and the crock pot does all the work for you guys. I'm telling you, it is amazing. Next, we have this cottage cheese. We get the 1%. It's the small curd. You can get any kind of percent you want to. Just make sure you get the small curd in case you don't like really chunky lasagna. This is a 24-ounce container. We normally use the whole thing. And then next to that, we have the part skim milk ricotta cheese. This is a 15-ounce. You can get the bigger one if you like ricotta better than you like cottage cheese. My household likes cottage cheese better, so that's why we get the small thing of ricotta and the big thing of cottage cheese. And then we have some Prego Italian sausage and garlic. Well, this is our favorite spaghetti sauce, guys. It is the 23.5 ounce. You can get any kind of spaghetti sauce you want to. Just make sure it is a bigger bottle because you need enough to coat the noodles so they cook properly. If you hear that background noise, that would be my 1-year-old pushing her little car thing. It is quite entertaining. She kind of broke off the front and now she's pushing it. But yeah, like I said, just regular spaghetti sauce. Just make sure it is the bigger jar of it. And then for our lasagna, we use meatballs. Sometimes when my brother is over, because he really loves it, we do a double meat lasagna. We will put meatballs and pepperoni in it. Today we're just going to do meatballs. We're out of pepperoni. I'm not going to the store just for pepperoni. But these are the Great Value fully cooked meatballs, the home style. And then over here we have a block of Cabot Seriously Sharp cheese, cheddar cheese. We like to grate our own block cheese because if you have ever noticed with the bagged shredded cheese, it has like that film texture on it to keep the cheese from sticking in the bag. So we just buy this big block of cheese and we grate it ourselves. Then over here we have a tomato and an onion. I'm probably going to get another tomato. Our tomatoes need to be used up for one, but for two, when you dice these onions and these tomatoes up real fine, you can hide them right in the lasagna from your kids, and it gives them 2 vegetables. You dice them up fine enough, the crock pot will cook them down real well. They'll get really soft, and your kids won't even notice they're in there. Mine haven't noticed yet. And then over here we have probably the most important thing. We have some spices. You can go ahead and spice it up however you prefer, but for us we use onion powder, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, and garlic salt. Now on top of this, you are going to need a mixing bowl to mix your cottage cheese and your ricotta in. You are going to need a knife and a cutting board, obviously, and if you choose to use the block cheese, a grater. And the most important thing, I think, is the crock pot. Alright guys, I will see you guys. So we're back. What you missed is I diced up the tomato. I actually ended up dicing up 2 of them. We diced up the onion nice and small pieces. We shredded the cheese. We cut the meatballs in half, and make sure if you're using the frozen meatballs, you wait until they're de-thawed a little bit. These are still kind of hard in the middle, but they were easy enough to slice the knife through. But if they're rock hard, you're not going to be able to do that. So just go ahead and de-thaw those for a little bit. I used this is about 25 of the full meatballs. And then I mixed the ricotta and the cottage cheese. I did end up using that whole container of cottage cheese and the whole container of ricotta because we like cottage cheese better, as I said. So now for this next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these spices to this mix because I find that it is better to add it to the mix than on top, because when you add it to the mix, it goes on every layer of your lasagna and not just sitting at the top. So we're going to put some garlic salt, and you guys don't be shy with the seasoning. If you're shy with the seasonings, then it's probably going to come out bland. You're going to want to add plenty of seasonings. This is the garlic powder, so we're just adding lots and lots of that. And you might even need to add seasonings on the top when it's done. It depends on how much seasoning you add here. This is some onion powder. And then this is the Italian seasoning. Now, I forgot to say in the beginning, sometimes when we make lasagna, we also like to put the spinach in it, kind of hide that spinach from the kids. But because we don't have any, I did not add it this time. Go ahead and make sure you mix this up really good. You can always taste it, see if you need more. That seasoning seems perfect right now. So I'm going to grab my crock pot out and I'll see you guys. Right, I have my crock pot out. It looks dirty, but I promise you it's not. That it's just the glare from the light. I just actually rinsed it out. It's been sitting in the cupboard since the last time we used it and it was a little dusty. So I rinsed it out, and that is just the glare from the light. So the first thing we are going to do is take our spaghetti sauce. We're just going to pour a little bit on the bottom. That should be enough. And we are going to mix it all on the bottom. Hold on, guys. Let me switch hands. There we go. We'll add a little bit more. And there goes my spoon. Things that make us go ugh in the kitchen. So we're going to add some to the bottom because you don't want the noodles sticking to the bottom. That would be very, very bad. And then we are going to take some of our noodles. Now, you might have to break them to fit in some areas of the crock pot, depending on how big your crock pot is. So we're just going to break that noodle, put it over here. That one broke off a little weird. And then we're going to take another noodle, add it there, add it there. Then we are going to take our ricotta cottage cheese mix, our little cheese mix over here. We're going to put some down. Spread that all around. This is kind of hard to do one-handed, guys. I think I'm going to have to invest in a tripod. So that's all spread around. Switching hands again, we are going to take some of these tomatoes and put those all around. And then some of the onion. Now this was a medium onion, guys. And then we're going to take some of these meatballs and put them in all around. Now we are going to take some more of our lasagna noodles. You might have to rearrange these meatballs because some of them are sticking up. And the lasagna noodles are not going to rest nicely if they're sticking up. So there's that. Now we're going to add another layer of our lasagna noodles. Break that one. We're going to layer it back up again. Make sure we're putting a generous amount. And spread that all around. Sorry guys. Spread that around. Alright, we're going to take some more tomatoes, add those in all over. And whatever you don't use for tomatoes and onions, you can always go ahead and store in the fridge. Now this layer, we're also going to add some of our shredded cheese. You would add the spinach to the layers too if that's what you want to do. Now we are going to take some of our sauce and just sauce that up a little bit. Make sure those noodles are getting nice and wet from the sauce so they don't come out crunchy. And then we're going to add another layer. This will be our second to last layer, guys. I think. Yep, because we're almost out of noodles. Then we're going to go ahead and add the rest of our cheese mix. Give me 1 second. There we go. And like I said, guys, this is just so super easy. Adding the rest of this cheese mix. Sorry for the noises. I know it's not the most pleasant sound. Got a little helper in the kitchen behind me. Wants to know everything I'm doing up here. And then we just mix that down. Now I forgot to tell you, if you want, so it doesn't stick, you can spray down the crock pot before you add all this stuff with some non-stick cooking spray. And then here's some onion. Here is some tomatoes. If you heard that growling, it's just our dog. Don't worry about him. He's a grumpy old man. He's about 9 years old. We rescued him. His original owner had passed away and he was about to be brought to the shelter. Nobody took him, so we rescued him. He's a Cocker Spaniel, 9 years old, grumpy old man. So now we are going to add the rest of our meatballs. Make sure they're all kind of facing down and not sticking up. Here's some more meatballs. Like I said, you can make a double meat lasagna if you want. Add some pepperoni in there. You can use ground beef. I found that our family likes it better with the chunks of meatball instead of the ground beef. Sometimes we'll use some ground turkey too. A little bit of a healthier option. But today we're just using the meatballs. This is what everyone likes. So we'll put that. Sorry for that loud noise. That was the dishes. And then we're just going to add our last layer of noodles. depending on how many noodles you have left, you can do a double layer on the top. I have 2 noodles left, which was not not enough for another layer. That's why we didn't do another layer. But here is the top. Then we are going to take the rest of our spaghetti sauce, which is about half a jar depending on how much you added. Get that all out of there. We'll spread that all around so those noodles can get nice and soaked in that spaghetti sauce. And then the final touches is we're going to add some cheese to the top, the rest of our cheese. If you notice, I alternate layers with some things, like the meatballs. I alternated which layers they were going on. That way there is not a lot of the same thing in them. But that is the finished prep product. It took about 20 minutes to prep. I am willing to sacrifice 20 minutes of prep for dinner to be done in 3 or 4 hours or less. You can hear the grumpy old dog right there. If you put it on high, it will take about 3 to 4 hours. Like I just said, we cook ours on low and slow because low and slow is the way to go, and it comes out perfect. That is 4 to 6 hours. Check it after 4 hours because you do not want it in your crock pot for too long after it's done, or it will get all dried out. So that is it. We're going to put it on low. We are going to leave it, and I will show you guys the finished product when it's all done. The only thing we had leftovers of were these diced onions. So I'm going to go ahead and just save those, package those for something else. And I will show you guys when this is done. Here is the finished product. If you hear chirping in the background, I apologize. That is just our baby chicks. They're still too little to go outside because it gets really cold at night, and they are not big enough to produce enough heat to keep themselves warm. We did decide to get some baby chicks and raise them as laying hens because we go through so many eggs, so we just wanted to go that route. But this is the finished product. It came out super great. The noodles are super soft. This is what it looks like. You can see the meatballs and the tomatoes. It did take about 6 hours, 5 hours and 45 minutes, right around the 6-hour mark in our slow cooker. I would recommend definitely spraying down your crock pot because some of the edges I noticed got burnt. And then I just have a little bit of Parmesan on it and some freshly grated Parmesan. And then this is just one of those, part of those Caesar salad kits that come with the croutons, the Parmesan, and the Caesar dressing with the romaine lettuce. And that is dinner. I hope you guys liked it. Be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe. Thank y'all.